Collider Movie Talk, movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeVries, and this is our daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is Dennis Tzeng.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. Thanks for joining us today. And who else is on the panel with us?
Also here is the lovely Clarke Wolfe.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
And the equally lovely Mark Ellis.
With a voice like warm Canadian syrup that may be a little too expensive if you ask Dennis then.
Yeah. Well, before we get on to the show, I just kind of want to tease, like, on Monday, make sure you tune in for the show because we actually have a big announcement on Monday pertaining to Collider Video. All right, Sinead, what's up first?
At the end of Captain America's Civil War, Cap gives up his shield, breaks his fellow vigilantes out of prison, and goes into hiding in Wakanda. Being a fugitive is odd for Captain America, but it makes a lot more sense if you accept the fact that Steve Rogers is no longer Captain America. While promoting the Blu-ray release for Captain America Civil War, directors Joe and Anthony Russo did confirm to the Huffington Post that when Cap dropped his shield at the end of the movie, it was a symbol for him giving up his superhero mantle. I think him dropping that shield is him letting go of that identity. That's what Joe said. It's him admitting that certainly the identity of Captain America was in conflict with the very personal choice that he was making. Dennis, what do you think about the idea of Steve Rogers no longer being Captain America when the events pick up again with Infinity War?
I think it makes sense. There's been a progression of his character since the first movie, and definitely starting with Winter Soldier, of him being disillusioned with the U.S. government. And so while at the end of Civil War, it wasn't like they didn't like clearly state that he was not going to be Captain America, but the Russo brothers saying that he's not, it makes perfect sense. And people have speculated that he might be this character Nomad, which he had taken on in a previous comic storyline. I actually hope that doesn't happen. First of all, I don't want anyone calling him Nomad. That sounds stupid. And then two, if you've seen some of the outfits that Nomad has had in the past, I remember one distinctly looked like a cross between a WWE wrestler and kind of like an 80s rock band guy. It just looked terrible. So if he does change and no longer is Captain America, I hope he's just, they call him the Captain or Cap or whatever, and he has a suit that's similar to what he has now, but just, maybe a sleeker thing that looks like a U.S. agent. What do you think, Mark?
I'm glad this is not a buy or sell topic because it'd be very hard to speculate as to whether Cap will continue to not be Cap anymore. Like, do I believe he's not Captain America right now? Sure, that was what we saw at the end of Civil War. It's like asking me if I thought Michael Jordan was still a basketball player when he was playing baseball. It's like, yeah, it's cute, he's trying this other thing, but we know he's coming back to play hoops eventually. I believe Steve Rogers will become Captain America again. The Nomad thing, because he became disillusioned with the government one time during Watergate, he became Nomad. I don't think they're going to follow that same storyline because they have too much else to worry about with Infinity War. So at the outset of Infinity War, I believe he's just going to be some dude named Steve. By the end of Infinity War, I believe he will be Captain America again.
Clarke?
That would be interesting. I'd like to actually see that arc, and I like your analogy of Michael Jordan. That actually crystallized everything and made it make much more sense.
See, kids, sports makes everything easier.
So good job, Mark Ellis. But I agree with you, Dennis. I think that after what we saw in Civil War, this makes sense for him, and I think that the writers, the whole team, from the actors to the writers to the directors, really pulled off. Like, you believe this, and I felt like it's earned. I feel like it is earned. It makes sense for everything we've seen so far with Chris Evans, Captain America, that he would need to put it down for a little while. And so it'll be interesting to see how they get him to come back around, though, because I guess at the end of Civil War, we're all still pretty fractured. So are we putting it all back together and then we'll see, maybe?
And look, I mean, he gave up his shield at the end of Civil War, but if you need to build a new shield, he's hanging out at a pretty good location to get some more of that metal. So I think he'll be okay. There's a lot of vibranium in Wakanda.
Yeah, I agree with you, though. I mean, we know he's going to eventually be Captain America again. The question is when. Is it going to be at the end of Infinity War? Will it be the next Avengers movie? Will it be in his own solo film? What I also like about Captain America is, out of all the solo characters that we have with the solo movies, he has the most consistent through-line story arc, character arc out of all of them. I mean, even Iron Man, who is arguably the most popular solo character in the Marvel Universe, like, even his movies have been a little scattered in terms of what his character is doing, but Captain America has been consistent throughout. All right, what's next?
Principal photography wrapped months ago on Doctor Strange, the latest Marvel Studios movie starring Benedict Cumberbatch as the Sorcerer Supreme. However, Community creator and writer Dan Harmon has been hired to pen script pages to be used for additional photography. THR reports the news of Harmon joining the team behind Doctor Strange, with many reports speculating that the creator was brought in to add just a bit more humor to Strange's debut film. Doctor Strange hits theaters on November 4th. Mark, what do you think about Community's Dan Harmon penning some pages for the additional photography?
It's fine with me, Sinead. I mean, anybody who worked on Community ever in any capacity is more than welcome to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe because it's going well so far with the Russo brothers, and I think we'll get more of the same from what Harmon adds to this script. Whether it is him adding, additional rewrites or some other scenes, or it's just some basic stuff, it's interesting to have a different take. That's what Marvel's been so good at, is having a collective of ideas. With Doctor Strange, one of the things that I really took note of when we got to see the trailer and some additional footage at Comic-Con is how much humor was in there, because you hear Scott Derrickson is doing it, and he comes from such a horror background. You think it's going to be more steeped in scary, mysterious things, but it had that Marvel stamp on it in that scene that I saw at Comic-Con. So they could be trying to add more of that humor to make sure that it ties in with everything else that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been doing so far.
Clarke?
Yeah, I think it's funny. As you were talking, I was reminded that Scott Derrickson and Joel McHale are actually really good friends. They've been friends for a long time, so I wonder if we'll get a Joel McHale cameo and then it'll be like a Community reunion almost. That would be pretty cool.
I'd be up for that, yeah.
But anyway, I think it makes sense as well. Additional photography and additional scenes, especially we're months out from the premiere, so I think that makes good sense. And yeah, I think adding a little bit of that flavor, a little bit of that Harmon quirky flavor sort of works for the Marvel Universe. So I'm on board with this. And I think too, one of the things that I sort of love about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the scope of writers and directors and people that they pull in. I think that it's eclectic and it's interesting. So I'm totally on board for this.
So I wasn't there at Hall H for the Doctor Strange panel at Marvel.
Oh, dude, it was sweet, man. You should have been there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I was trying to work. Anyways. During those clips, were there more humor in there? Because in the trailer, this is how I feel. With the trailer, it was actually pretty serious throughout, except for that joke at the end is a button after they did the little Doctor Strange title and they did that little joke at the end. But it was actually pretty serious throughout. Some of the clips that you saw, was there more humor in there?
In the scene that we saw when Stephen Strange first comes into contact with the Ancient One, it seemed like his defense mechanism is sarcasm, where if he doesn't believe something, he's not sure, because coming from a science background, being a doctor, he's not necessarily going to believe some sort of mystical astral plane that can help heal him or use his abilities in a new way. So his retorts to what the Ancient One is trying to teach him and trying to show him is a dry wit that he has about him. And then obviously he gets to experience these things he's never felt before, and then he just becomes that, I'm now on my knees trying to learn whatever I can from this. But there was a lot of humor in there too that I was not expecting to see.
Because I was wondering, if Marvel had watched a cut of this film and thought maybe it was a little too serious, a little too dramatic, and they wanted to because this Dan Harmon's rewriting or writing these additional scenes that they're shooting, this is definitely not planned. You don't bring in someone like Dan Harmon this last minute to shoot additional scenes if it was planned. So I'm assuming that they saw a cut, and maybe, Marvel is known, and a valid criticism, I guess, of Marvel is that they do kind of have a similar formula for their movies that includes the humor in it. And I'm wondering if they saw a cut of it and they're like, you know what, this doesn't feel like the traditional Marvel film. Let's hire someone to come in and punch it up a little bit.
I mean, that was the impressive thing to me about what Civil War did, is that it was such a serious and intense thing. And for that matter, Winter Soldier, too, had such a political thriller vibe, but they still managed to have some humor in there. So if you want to, instead of get away from the thriller aspect and go into more of a horror mystery, but still retain a sense of humor, I'm on board.
Okay. All right, guys, now we're on to Buy or Sell. Sinead, what do we got first?
Rovio has confirmed that an Angry Birds movie sequel is in the works. Rovio chief executive announced the plans to the Wall Street Journal, stating that they have already started planning the sequel, but didn't offer up any other details on who will direct or which stars will return. The first film finished its run with a worldwide total of $346 million off of a $73 million budget. Clarke, do you buy or sell an Angry Birds movie sequel?
I mean, I'm kind of indifferent, actually. actually, because I didn't see this movie, so I don't really know if it's good or bad, but just based on those numbers, I think it's a no-brainer that obviously you would want to continue on this franchise. I'm sure in merchandising as well, they made a ton of money. So I guess from a financial standpoint, I buy it, but I mean, personally, as Clarke, I don't care.
I'll buy it as well. I did see the movie, and it actually ended up being better than I thought it was going to be. It's not a movie that I think, like, this is not going to be one of the best animated films of the year. It's one of those movies where, like, you kind of have to be reminded that you actually saw, but for what it wasn't that bad. And obviously the financials, if you're, $73 million budget making over 300, it's definitely, you're thinking, okay, maybe we put a little bit more money into it, and maybe next time we can achieve more. What do you think, Mark?
It's a buy because if you look at the animated genre as a whole, you can say that, oh, well, maybe it's not as good as Pixar's best or Disney's best, and that's fine. I understand that. It's also not as bad, because I saw it too. It's not like an Ice Age, it's not even like, it's around like a Madagascar level. So if it keeps making money, I'm fine with that, Like I'm not gonna hate seeing Angry Birds 2. I thought there was some laughs in there. It had a lot of potential. Actually, had more potential, and it didn't live up to it. Because when I got in the theater, I was like, "Oh, we really got a good chance to have a fun time here." And it was like,
I thought he was gonna be angrier. It was Angry Birds, and I thought the main character would be angrier, but he wasn't that angry.
Off, man.
Sinead, did you watch Angry Birds?
No.
And if not, are you interested at all in the franchise?
I mean, like Clarke, I didn't see their first movie. I was like one of the very few people that didn't care about the Angry Birds franchise from the beginning of the Angry Birds franchise. But I don't know. It's like Clarke said, it's a no-brainer. They made like quadruple the amount of money that they spent. But I don't know, maybe now that there is a sequel, I should see the first one, because obviously they did something right.
I think it's a decent, like, if it's on your cable or Netflix or something like that, yeah, you could watch it.
I'll tell you right now, if you want to go see the sequel, just have at it. You don't need to see the first. You
That's
don't
true.
need to be steeped in Angry Bird canon in order to go enjoy
There's
the second
a deep
one.
lore and mystery.
He looks pretty cute, I will say that.
I
He's
do
supposed
like
to
the
be
design.
angry.
I did
He
like the
looks
design of
adorable.
them. Yeah.
He's got those Mark Ellis eyebrows.
Yeah.
Also has a delicious
Except he's got two
looking
of
sandwich.
them. Yeah.
Love it.
All right, what's next?
According to THR, Christoph Waltz is in talks to play Dr. Dyson Ido, the cyber surgeon who finds the cyborg and becomes the mentor of Alita in the Robert Rodriguez helmed Alita Battle Angel adaptation. The movie will shoot this fall and is previously set in Maze Runner the Scorched Trials actress Rosa Salazar in the title role of an amnesiac female cyborg who becomes a bounty hunter. The movie is set to open on July 20th, 2018. Dennis, do you buy or sell Christoph Waltz in Alita Battle Angel?
I'll buy it. I'm, still surprised that they're finally making this movie. They've been talking about, James Cameron's been talking about this movie for such a long time, but then he got not stuck, but he wanted to do a lot more Avatar films. I buy it. He's an Oscar-winning actor. I also want to see him in some good guy roles. He's been doing a lot of bad guy roles lately. He's in Legend of Tarzan, Big Eyes, Spectre, Horrible Bosses 2. So he's been kind of playing a similar character. So I think this character is good for him. I think in the animated version, he has blonde hair, he has glasses, he's a bit younger, but I think Christoph Waltz can pull it off. What do you think, Clarke?
I love this. I mean, I love the idea, too, of combining Christoph Waltz with Robert Rodriguez, because I think that I love Rodriguez' sort of old-school exploitation kind of mindset or filmmaking style, and I think that Christoph Waltz sort of lends himself to that. I know that sounds a little weird considering he's an Oscar winner and he's this A-list star, but I think if you look at his work with Quentin Tarantino specifically, he has a weird, quirky edge to him, and I love that. So I really do think that he and Rodriguez are going to be a really great pair together. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm just happy that his character from Inglourious Bastards didn't get his hand on this technology, because that would be frightening as hell. It's a huge buy for me. I love watching Christoph Waltz on screen. He's such a magnetic presence. And you're right, Dennis, to see him as a good guy is a different spin. I also agree with Clarke that having him work with Robert Rodriguez, who's such a visionary director, I love the way that Robert Rodriguez puts together a movie, particularly the types of films you're talking about. So Christoph Waltz seems to fit in that really well.
All right, what's next?
The Weinstein Company has released its first trailer for Lion. The movie stars Dev Patel, Rooney Mara, and Nicole Kidman, and is based on the true story of a man who is separated from his family as a child, and as an adult goes looking for them with the help of Google Earth. The Weinsteins have their sights set on the Oscars, but first it will premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival before opening in theaters this November 25th. Clarke, do you buy or sell the first trailer for Lion?
I really buy it. I do. I'm not usually into dramas of this kind. Oscar, bait kind of things. But this trailer was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was heartfelt. I love all of the actors involved. And it really got me. It definitely really got me. I also think it's very timely considering what we see on social media all the time with things that are going on around the world. And I think that it seems like a beautiful story. So this is a big buy for me.
Mark?
That's a buy for me. It looks like something that the Oscar and the Academy is going to love when they see this. It's a great ad for Google Earth, too. Like, if you want to find people, you certainly can in this day and age. Dev Patel is a guy that I really enjoy watching, and obviously the cast around him. This is an easy buy for me, and I'm not I don't like get up in the morning and be like, all right, what serious drama am I going to watch today?
Yeah.
But after trudging through this summer of blockbusters that did not live up to the hype, getting to see something like this is going to feel so refreshing. That's why I enjoyed watching The Light Between Oceans, because it just didn't feel like a crappy blockbuster like Independence Day Resurgence, that we just got inundated with this summer. So it's nice to clearly see the shift from summer movies into Oscar contenders.
Yes, Independence Day Resurgence. I kicked off my 40s at that movie. Yeah, I'm gonna buy this trailer. I actually really liked it. I also like the themes that they're kind of exploring. This idea versus ethnic identity versus cultural identity that his character. I mean, that's something that you don't have to be adopted to be able to relate to. And I do think, it is kind of an Oscar baity movie, but those movies can be good if they're delivered and executed well. And I think this director Garth Davis, I guess he's a very successful commercial director. This is feature film debut, and so far it looks pretty good.
Well, also I was just going to add that when we talk about Oscar movies, sure they certainly have a certain type of pedigree, but this one didn't seem sappy to me. This didn't seem like over the top or really trying to check off all the Oscar boxes. It seemed very sincere, and I mean, granted, we haven't seen the film yet, but from what we did see, the performances seemed very sincere, and the message and the story seemed very authentic and sincere. So I hope it lives up to that.
Sinead, did you watch this trailer, and what did you think?
I did. And what's crazy? It's it's such an intense storyline, but the movie itself and the trailer is actually really simple. And I really liked that about it. Wendy and I were watching it, and I was like, oh, his family stole him. And I was so surprised when it's just actually he's just looking for his family, because you're just not used to seeing simple storylines anymore. It's Nicole Kidman, she stole him. She stole him. But nope, he's not stolen at all. He's just looking for his family. And I actually appreciate that. I like the simplicity of it.
Love you watching the trailer just waiting for the rub.
I was.
Got some sort of nuclear codes inside his intestine.
I was 100% sure that they were going to show a flashback of him being stolen. But no, it's not, you guys.
Sorry.
It's not.
All right, what's
reshoots.
Next? The Fault in Our Stars director Josh Boone has been hard at work on an adaptation of the X-Men spin-off movie New Mutants for months, and now he's getting a hand from some former collaborators. THI reports that screenwriting duo of Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber, who previously penned The Fault in Our Stars and The Spectacular Now, are working on the New Mutant script, which will follow a young group of misfit mutants coming to terms with their abilities. New Mutants doesn't have a release date yet, but back in May, producer Simon Kinberg told outlets they were eyeing a 2017 start of production. Mark, do you buy or sell a New Mutants adaptation written by the screenwriters of The Fault in Our Stars?
Yeah, it sounds weird to buy it, but I do put over money to get this because of what Simon Kinberg is producing this said, that they're going to be going for not necessarily aiming at a younger audience, but they want to be able to engage young adults in this. So if you have somebody from The Fault in Our Stars or The Spectacular Now, which is tremendous, I hear, haven't seen it yet, I'll get back to you. It's something that you want to engage the audience with. You want to be able to hook younger viewers on something that just because you're going for a younger audience doesn't mean it's just going to be aimed for them. This is not a Twilight situation, but it is something where you're trying to introduce New Mutants literally into the stratosphere because you're not going to have your Wolverines running around here anymore. So if you want to have New Mutants come in there, you need to give them an identity. You need to give them some great chemistry and some amazing dialogue. That's what I hope this can bring to the table.
Clarke?
Yeah, I mean, so I actually am good friends with one of Josh's writing partners. And, if you look at what Josh is attached to right now, having come from The Fault in Our Stars, he's also attached to the adaptation of Stephen King's The Stand and the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles Interview with the Vampire and New Mutants. So Boone is not a YA director only, you know what I mean? And I know he likes to bring on the same people. He likes working with the same same writers. You know, the writers that I know are working on Vampire Chronicles and The Stand and New Mutants. So I mean, he likes to have this family around him, and so I think it makes perfect sense that after The Fault in Our Stars was such a success, he would be down to bring those writers back on as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. Along with what you're saying is like not all directors when they get onto a project, whether it's like a franchise like this, that they have any control over who the writers are and what the script is. Sometimes they come on board and there's a script already there and they may not like that script and they have to work off of it. It's much better when it's someone he's previously worked for, and it seems like that creative collaboration did very well for both of them. And when we talk about the other movies they wrote Fault in Our Stars, they wrote Spectacular Now. These are, from what I hear, much different than the typical young adult films, that there's something more behind them. They also wrote 500 Days of Summer, which is, you know, a movie that I enjoyed as well.
Yeah, it's a great movie until like the last part.
Yeah.
You know, just rips your heart out. Up until then, it was great.
And I also like the fact that that the director Josh Boone I think this would be his third big movie or third feature film, and like I just noticed like a lot more directors nowadays that they're giving them younger ones that don't have as much as experience these bigger projects. So I like that as well.
Do you guys think the term young adult has an unearned stigma attached to it when it comes to movies because we so associate that phrase with the, you know, Twilight or the Lovely Bones or whatever the hell the Mortal Instruments, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When you do have it,
The Lovely Bones is not
The Lovely
YA.
Bones?
No.
City
That's
of
the one
Bones?
where
City
she
of Bones.
goes-
City of
Lovely
Bones.
Bones is the one Peter
Is that the-
Jackson
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
That
It's
the
about
Mortal
a
Instruments?
child molester.
Yeah.
in
So
the
what
murder.
cities are
So,
Lovely Bones?
definitely
Yeah,
not
not young
YA.
adult.
Yeah, he like steals the kid.
Yeah. All right. Well, besides that, I just think that they give young adult movies a chance because sometimes they really have a storyline that everybody can connect with. Just because it says young adult doesn't mean that it's going to be, you know, another one of these vampire werewolf crap heaps.
Yeah. All right. Before we move on to box office predictions, let's check in with Wendy and see what's going on in the chat room.
Well, they're talking a lot about Captain America, Steve Rogers not being Captain America anymore. My God, the chat have a lot to say about it. And they're saying anything from if this means we'll get to see Nomad, or if Chris Evans is off to direct another rom-com. Related GTR says Steve Rogers is Captain America, shield or no shield. I agree that he has dropped the mantle of Captain America, but his nature is still that of a person who believes in classic American ideal. And Mario Cruz says Steve Rogers was never a compelling film character in my opinion, so whatever. Bye, Felicia. Iron Man, I will miss. And moving on to our Buyer's House section for the Lions trailer. The chat's buying this especially for the talent, but they're also saying this sounds Oscar baity and slightly boring. Nathan Van Togen says, I've trusted everything with Patel ever since the newsroom.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, chat room. Now we're moving on to box office predictions. This is our weekly Friday segment where we try and predict the top 5 movies of the weekend. This is brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. Mark, what do you got for this weekend?
Boy, is it going to be a competitive weekend, Dennis. And I only have one hope for this weekend, is that somehow Sausage Party can manage to continue to be number 2 so that all next week we get to deal with the sausage sticking out of
Yes.
somebody's face sitting in Dennis's chair. That's what I want to
There
see
it
all
is.
next week. I want Sausage Party to be number 2. Unfortunately, I don't think it. I think, you know what? Enjoy touching that sausage, Dennis, because it's not going to be there for you anymore. Because we got 2 movies that are coming out that I don't think are going to be huge blockbusters, but they're going to do enough to knock Sausage Party out of the 2 spot. So here's my prediction. I'm going to have the horror thriller Don't Breathe, which I finally got a chance to watch at a Thursday midnight screening last night. It was cool. Review coming soon. I got that at 1. I got Suicide Squad at 2. I'm going to have Mechanic Resurrection at 3. Sausage Party at 4. And I think that War Dogs is going to sneak past Hands of Stone because Hands of Stone I just don't see coming out in enough theaters to warrant being in the top 5.
Clarke?
All right, well, I would love nothing more than Don't Breathe to be the number 1 movie of the weekend because I think it's excellent. We have our spoilers review up on Collider Video right now, so go ahead and watch that. It's me and the Nightmares team. And I do think it might get close to number 1 simply because it's kind of a slow weekend this weekend. Not a lot coming out. But with that being said, I'm going to go a little crazy. I think that Suicide Squad's going to stay at number 1. I think that Don't Breathe is going to hit number 2. I think that Mechanic is going to be number 3. I think Kubo. I'm going to hope that Kubo has good word of mouth, and people are going to start checking that out, and that's going to hit number 4. And then Sausage Party is going to drop to number 5.
Okay, we all have different ones then, because I have Don't Breathe at number 1. I think it's going to slightly beat out Suicide Squad. I think most people who wanted to see Suicide Squad has already seen it, because it's, 4th week now for that film. And I think Don't Breathe definitely has good word of mouth. I have War Dogs at number 3. Kubo at number 4. I wish the movie would do better, because I love the movie. I think it's a unique film that people should go out and see. And then I have Sausage Party at number 5. I don't have the Mechanic on there. I don't know. I actually enjoyed the first Mechanic, but I just don't see anyone. This second one just looks kind of like almost like a throwaway straight to Blu-ray DVD film, and I don't know how many people are going to go see it.
It's a sneaky, horrible title. Mechanic Resurrection. Just call it Mechanic 2. Mechanic Resurrection sounds bad. It just sounds stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still going to go see it. It sounds dumb.
All right, guys. Before we move on to Mailbag, I want to remind you we have a big, huge Schmodown match today at 2 p.m. that involves one of the panelists here, classy Clarke Wolfe.
Yes.
She's going to be taking on the champion, Dan Murrell from Screen Junkies. Mark, are you excited about this match?
I cannot wait to see the bloodbath that is going to ensue, because this is a championship match, Dennis. So remember, it's going to be 5 rounds deep. If there's one contender, one champion that we could put up to avenge Mark Riley's defeat at the hands of Dangerous Dan Murrell, I think it is going to be the lady with the blood and the knife right there. It is classy Clarke Wolfe. I think that you have a great shot. My prediction, as I said on Schmoes last night, I think that Dan is so scary good in the speed round, and that's when fortunes can change so quickly. But if I had to bet on somebody to take down Dan, it would be you, Clarke. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm always nervous. You guys know this. I never go into a Schmodown confident, especially the title match. And I will say this is my first time doing this. Dan has done it once before. He's played the speed round. He's played the Jeopardy round. He's done these things, and I haven't. And so I'm extra nervous about that. But I will say I want the belt. I studied. I tried to catch up on random movies that maybe I hadn't seen before. I tried to prepare, and I want that belt. So I hope I win it.
All right, guys. So reminder, 2 p.m. today. Check that match out. All right, now we're moving on to Mailbag, where we answer your viewer-submitted questions. You email us at collidervideo@gmail.com. Sinead, what do we got?
Stuart Fletcher writes, "Howdy, Collider. I love everything you put out and can't get enough. Can we please get Sinead on Schmoes more often?"
Fine.
Did you guys choose that one because I'm here? That's sweet. I recently got out of a long-term relationship and been looking back. I'm a movie guy, and she wasn't. So when I'd want to watch Jurassic Park or 3:10 to Yuma, we naturally watched She's the Man. Great movie, by the way. Lots of you guys are in relationships or have been in one. What are the worst movies or shows you've been forced to watch in a relationship? Mine has to be marathoning Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Also a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into relationships, that's kind of one of the trade-offs. And especially, I don't know, with my record, I always get in relationships with people who don't have the same taste in entertainment that I do. So I end up watching sappy romantic comedies as a trade-off. The worst one that I saw that I was forced to see, it wasn't in the theaters, it was watching at home, was Sweet November. Do you guys remember that movie?
With Charlize Theron and Keanu Reeves?
Yes. Ugh. It was, I think it's a remake of a 1968 film. It's terrible. All you have to know about that movie is at the very end, spoiler alert.
Oh boy.
Charlize Theron, who has terminal cancer, and she's what she does is she dates people for just 1 month only, and after that month they have to leave. That way she doesn't break their heart. They're in a park where they had a previous date. She blindfolds him, says some stuff, and then she goes, "Remember me," or something, and then walks off. And it's that's the end of the movie, and they play some Enya song or something like that. It's
That's the end of the movie?
Yeah. So spoiler.
That's 500 Days of Summer doesn't sound bad anymore.
Yeah. So, Mark, what about you?
Well, Dennis, as a man who's been in many failed relationships over the years, I can tell you, the first time I ever went on a movie date, it was like a double date, I think, and I was in 8th grade, maybe 7th grade, and we went to go see Philadelphia. A little too heavy.
Yeah.
A little too heavy. Tom Hanks, it was an Oscar-winning movie, a little too heavy on a double date. And then I didn't really date a lot, so didn't really have to worry about different tastes. With my current lady, the big thing with her is that she loves a goofy movie. She loves a goofy movie, so I had to sit down and watch a goofy movie. And I actually enjoyed it. I thought Powerline rocked in it, and she's a big Dragon Ball Z fan, so occasionally Dragon Ball Z will be on in the house. But again, they have music that sounds like kick-ass 80s pop rock for Dragon Ball Z, so I'm like, I can get into this wailing guitar okay, and then watch some adventures with Goku, Vegeta, and the gang.
Clarke, what was the worst movie that you were forced to watch because of a relationship?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think this question is really funny because I don't know anyone, man, woman, child, old, young, who doesn't want to watch Jurassic Park, who's like, nah, Jurassic Park, one of the greatest. Nah, I'm all set on that Jurassic Park. No, thank you. So I'm like, putting my glasses down on this question. But to answer the question, well, you guys know I love horror movies, obvi, and statistically, men are less attracted to women who are like horror movies. Did you know that?
What?
I think
What's
it's
that
because
study?
I think it's because if a woman is likes it, they know they're not going to get scared and be like, oh, I'm scared, like whatever. So
Comfort me.
Yeah, comfort me. So anyway, I dated a guy once and I showed him The Descent, and I'm not gonna say anything about it, but he argued with me about the logic of that movie, and I was like, yeah, you're just gonna have to go with it here. But I was taken on a first date to see Max Payne. Yeah, and I think I see your traveling pants and raise you a Max Payne because that was awful. But I did want to say that there was one date I went on where somebody took me to see Beer Fest. And I was are you kidding? Why are you making me? I was so mad at him. But then I actually ended up really liking it. I thought it was really funny.
What's the bigger risk? Because I know JT got beat up last week on the show because he mentioned that he brought a girl to a horror movie one time. Is it a bigger risk to take a date, guy or girl, to a horror movie first date or a comedy? Because if one of you is laughing and one of you is not, that gets really awkward.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, if it's a horror movie and you're into it and they're not, it's kind of because people have I've seen people dating profiles that are I hate horror movies. I feel like that was.
Do they have to put that out
there?
there?
Well, it was a question on OkCupid. Okay. Remember, OkCupid would do that 100 question survey, and one of them would be, "Do you enjoy horror movies?"
Yeah.
And so many of them would be like, "No, no, no," and I was like, "Uh-oh." So I always look like a weirdo, being my favorite movie.
Well, if that's your profile picture with the knife and the blood all over, I can understand.
But yeah, I don't know, because with the comedy stuff too, if it's tacky or not funny and then they think it's fun. I dated a guy once who didn't like Arrested Development. He didn't think it was funny, and I was like, well, we don't get along. We don't have anything to talk about. This isn't gonna happen. So
Sinead, what movie have you been forced to watch because of a relationship that you absolutely hated?
I mean, I honestly don't think that I have had to watch any movies that I've totally hated. I feel like it's a lot easier for girls than it is for guys, because girls will more than usually watch more romantic movies, but all the guys that I've dated usually watch really cool movies because they're guys, and I actually really like action movies. I like horror movies. I like blood and gore. So I'm usually okay with most things. I will say, though, the horror movie on a first date is a very risky move because comedy can be awkward, especially if you're the one not laughing, because then you're like, wow, your standards are really low if you think this is funny. But the horror movie is really risky because it's sometimes really offensive. Horror movies can be extremely offensive if it's too slashery or if it's very satanic. There's different ways to go, because horror movies are usually a slasher movie or possession, right? Those are the two main ones, which are equally as offensive, I think, just in case someone's really sensitive. I'm not super sensitive to those things, but I have met even some of my girlfriends hate like watching movies that have to do with like possession and things like that because it freaks them out. So if someone took me to a movie on a first date and it was like the whole movie was like them being possessed by the devil, I'd probably be like, we're not gonna hang out.
That would be
again.
a weird choice,
right?
Anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, can I counter this guy's question because he's talking about how he wants to watch like action movies or whatever, and all his girlfriend wants to watch her sappy movies. I have never seen The Notebook, and I cannot tell you over the last 10 years how many men I've dated, and it comes out that I've never seen The Notebook where they're like, what? What?
Dude.
You haven't seen The Notebook? Why? It's so good. And I'm like, really?
Can I tell you something, Clarke?
Yeah.
It's really good.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
It is
So I
really
just
good.
like, it goes both ways.
All right, now we're done with Collider relationship talk. Now we're going to take your live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at Collider Video. We'll answer a few of them. Sinead, what do we got first?
All right, Saeed says, do you think it would be better if critics were given a gag order, like maybe till after a week the movie was out?
No, because then people who rely on critics to know whether or not they are interested in a movie, that it just doesn't work that way.
Critics are embargoed. So like if you see a movie early, there is 9 times out of 10 an embargo, which means you are not allowed to talk about the movie or give your thoughts about a movie until X amount of time, which is predetermined by the studio. So that already exists.
Yeah, but
In
then
a sense.
I think
he's saying after the fact.
yeah, like
Right.
the critics can't talk about after a week after the movie,
Yeah,
right?
he's
It's
just
like-
saying like let people go to the movie and decide for themselves if they want to see it.
They should just decide for themselves anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Let's not forget that all critics are really there for is to give you as much information as possible before you pay money to go see a movie. So if you don't want to know what the critics have to say, or you're worried you're not going to agree with a critic's opinion of a movie, don't see the reviews.
Right.
It's nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying, oh, you got to look at Twitter right now before you go see Suicide Squad.
Right.
It's like, just don't look at the reviews if you want to wait until a week after the movie comes out to see the review, have at it. Nobody's forcing you to see these reviews. So just wait.
And why would critics hold back if the movie is in theaters right now? So nothing's preventing them from actually seeing it. There's no one can embargo a movie past the release date. That's like impossible.
I mean, I work in this business, and I'm here almost every day. And if there's a movie that's coming out that I haven't seen it, everybody else is, I won't listen to that. Like, I don't want to know until I go see the movie most of the time. So be like me.
All right, what's next?
Caleb says, TGIF, for people who work weekends and nights like me, when's your favorite day and time to see a movie?
Good question.
So he works
He works weekends and most nights, but he's just asking when's our favorite time.
Oh.
Day and time.
If I'm going to see a movie, you know what I really like is the earliest show possible on like Sunday morning. Or maybe even the earliest show on Fridays is good too, because I don't like people, and I want as little people in the movie theater with me, so that's less chances for me to get annoyed. So I want to go with the least amount of people, unless it's like a huge event movie or it's a horror movie like Don't Breathe last night. Saw it in a packed theater, and it was fun to be in a packed theater because everybody's getting scared together. But by and large, I just want to focus on the movie by myself. So whenever the least amount of people are in the theater.
I'm the opposite of you. I want as many people that, as long as I already have a good seat, like if it's one of those reserved places that I already know that I'm going to get the middle, center or whatever. But I want to see and feel other people's reactions to the film, even if it's a movie that maybe I don't like. Like I've been in comedies where like I'm not laughing, but I hear other people laughing, just to be able to kind of gauge what other people's reactions to it are.
I like Sunday late afternoon, early evening, because it's still opening weekend, theoretically. There's still usually a good amount of people there, but you're not dealing with the Friday and Saturday night rush. It's usually a little more relaxed.
It's always cool to walk into a movie theater in the daytime, and then when you come out, it's like totally night. It's pretty cool.
I guess to answer the actual specific question is Thursday night at midnight, when they used to actually do the midnight stuff. They don't do that anymore. Everything opens now
That's
at
the
7 or
best.
8 p.m. When they used to do the actual midnight, that was like, okay, that's the hardcore of the hardcore fans.
Remember like when the Harry Potter movies would come out? It was like, I think I saw every single Harry Potter movie at midnight on Thursday. And it was like everyone was there. It was like an event.
So what's your favorite time to see a movie?
Well, now it's Sundays, like early afternoon. I usually try to go to like a 5 o'clock movie on a Sunday. And if it's a horror movie, I have to go early enough that when I leave the theater, it's still daylight.
All right, what's next?
James says, are you hopeful or concerned about the future of DC movies?
I'm very hopeful. I mean, and the funny thing is that, people are always like, oh, Dennis, you don't like these. I actually gave positive scores to both Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. I had criticisms of the movie, but apparently you can't have any criticisms about a movie, otherwise you don't like it. But I'm actually very hopeful for it.
I was just below the cut line on Fresh or Rotten for both Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, but even having said that, I am very excited about the future of the DC universe because you can course correct. You can learn from your previous mistakes. Everything I saw from Wonder Woman at Comic-Con looks spectacular. I love the look of Aquaman. I never thought I'd hear those words come out of my mouth. We get a standalone Batman movie coming up soon. Justice League sounds exciting. The Flash was great in that Justice League scene we saw. There's a lot of stuff to be looking forward to if you're a DC fan.
Clarke is the biggest DC fan here at the panel.
Great. I can't wait to get the tweets now. Thanks, Dennis. No, actually, I've said it before, and I will say it again. I cannot wait for Wonder Woman, and I cannot wait for Aquaman. Okay. I'm so excited for Aquaman. Like, I love Jason Momoa just in general. Of course, I love James Wan. I loved everything I saw from Aquaman in that Justice League tease that we saw from Comic-Con, and I've loved everything that I've seen from Wonder Woman. So those are two of my most anticipated movies coming. I cannot wait.
Yeah, Wonder Woman. I'm actually looking more forward to Wonder Woman than I am Justice League. That trailer blew me away.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What's next?
Phil says, what's your favorite movie that's based on a true story?
Ooh, good question.
Rocky IV. Pretty good one. I mean, look, Rudy is one of my favorite sports movies of all time. I can't even say it's based on a true story. It's based on a guy who went to Notre Dame and really tried hard to play football. But the movie is a lot better than the true story. So just watch the movie and enjoy it for that. Best movie, like as far as biopic goes. I mean, another one that I really love is JFK, but it's not exactly steeped in honesty all the time. So it's hard to, if you're just picking a movie that is actually like, okay, these are the facts of the case. But I gotta, Ray was really damn good. I really liked what they did with Ray.
The Exorcist is allegedly based on a true story, so I'll go
Okay,
with
but
that.
let's clear this up, because the based on a true story thing, don't you have to like literally just get like one character right in order to be able to say it's based on a true story?
You don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so let's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, and The Silence of the Lambs are all based on the same true
Right.
story of Ed Gein.
Right.
None of that is true. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, skins and people. Okay,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, that's the based on a
And
true
like
story.
The Conjuring, they added Ed and Lorraine Warren. Like those two neighbors weren't even really involved in that story that I read afterwards.
The Perrin family? I mean, that is one of their cases.
The Warren family.
The Warrens did investigate the Perrin family.
But like, I guess I was reading like this whole article the other day that most of the stuff that they say that they did isn't actually true.
I mean, it's a movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're right. They're not documentaries.
right.
We can agree everything that happened in Annabelle actually happened.
For me, my favorite movie, Goodfellas, is actually based on a true story of Henry
that's a good
Hill.
one, yeah.
I thought, United 93 was a very well done film because the way they did it was more, even though it was a fiction, it was they did it more documentary style. Like it was almost like they filmed it that way, and it was less of a point of view and more of just a retelling of facts.
There's a lot of great war movies too. So there's a lot of great like
Independence Day is my favorite based on it.
Independence Day is a great one. Yeah.
When the president gave that speech,
I mean, it was so like
so moving.
I felt so American.
President Pullman, he's my third favorite president ever.
All right, let's do one more.
Kylo Ben wants to know if the recap shows are coming back in the fall.
Some of them, depending on the show, basically. Some of them will. We still haven't determined exactly which ones. Let's do one more since that's not really a.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Let's see here. Trade Paperback Geek says, will we ever see a Batgirl movie?
I don't think so.
I think we'd see a Batgirl TV series, before we'd see a Batgirl feature film from this current DC cinematic universe.
It's all up to Nicholas Winding Refn. He said he might want to make
my
one.
God,
So
I want to see that movie.
it would be really cool. I think you'll see some sort of Batgirl material in the future. I don't know that you're going to see it in this current DC universe. I don't think we're going to see a Batgirl movie.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of Collider Movie Talk. I want to thank the people joining us here at the table. Clarke, where can people find you?
You can find me right here on Collider Video for Collider Nightmares every Tuesday at 5 p.m. And you can find me battling Dangerous Dan Murrell for the title at the Schmodown today at 2 p.m. And you can find me online at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolfe with an E.
Mark?
You can find me announcing said matchup with my buddy Christian Harloff, Clarke Wolfe versus Dan Murrell later today on Collider Video. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Ellis Live, and this Saturday I'll be at the world famous Comedy Store on the Sunset Strip. Come on out, SoCal.
Sinead?
Yay, go Clarke. Good luck. You can find me online at Sinead DeVries and at thatsosinead.com. On Mondays here hosting Collider TV Talk. On Fridays hosting Movie Talk and hosting Mailbag over the weekends.
And Wendy, where can people find you?
On Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram Dennis.tzng. You can also find me on tomorrow's Mailbag. You'll find me here on Movie Talk Mondays and Fridays. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Videos, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.